Hello again, I hope you're all well. Today I'm in Bavaria again. I'm a little bit further west. I'm in the Allgäu region, not too far from Fussen in Neuschwanstein, which is the famous castle you might have heard of. Today I was in search of some lovely mountain reflections in lakes, but you can probably already hear the wind noise and it's not looking, well, at all promising. The weather forecast also said the odd cloud in the sky, lots of sunshine, which actually, as the GoPro's pointed now, is fairly true. Not so much over there. So, never mind, I'm going to carry on, explore. I've had 2 lakes pinned on my Google Maps planning for a long time, so we're going to go check them out and probably scout them for another time, but it's lovely to be out again. I'm absolutely loving all these dandelions. You do need the sun to catch them to make them really pop, but they're fantastic and turn what would otherwise be fairly dull and boring fields into something really interesting and vibrant. So I don't yet have much of a plan today. The forecast for sunset was pretty good, and although we're 7 to 8 hours away, I'm currently not very hopeful, but we'll see how it pans out. But for now, as I say, I'm walking around these 2 lakes and then I'm going to head back to the car, probably go down towards Fussen. Absolutely loving the dandelions. It does need the sun, as I mentioned, to really pop, but I think it works anyway. The only problem I'm having is, in my head, everything with the dandelions in automatically has a good foreground. We know that's not quite true. I do this quite a lot. I get obsessed with a certain element or a certain feature. It's not until I get back up to the computer that I realise that it just didn't work. But hopefully 1 or 2 of these will. The challenge around here is actually finding a subject. The dandelions do generally make a nice foreground, but without a strong subject it's still no shot really. So I'm on the hunt, but there's not been a lot so far. One thing you probably saw me doing then was getting really low, and I will say that's one of my favourite ways of trying to add a little bit more interest into an otherwise fairly average composition. We do take far too many shots from eye height, and of course we all see that view and that vantage point all day every day, so to most of us, including the viewers, it's normally a little bit boring. So for me, getting really low is a great way of really changing the feeling and the message of the picture, and I think it adds a lot of interest. One of my favourite things to do. So whether it's grass, flowers, always great to try and get low. I think this spot on this lake has got a lot of potential. Could do with the mountains being a bit clearer and the lake of course being a bit stiller with less wind, but yeah, I think there's definitely scope here. And actually this would be quite a nice spot for astrophotography, for Milky Way photography, because actually we're looking pretty much due south here, so the right time of the year the Milky Way would be right there. So you could have lake, mountains and Milky Way. That would be a nice shot. It's absolutely glorious, but I will admit I'm really struggling for anything to take a photo of. There's very little in the way of subjects. As you can see around me, loads of yellow dandelions, but even a lake behind me, but there's just very little in terms of subjects. So I think it's time to head back to the car, and I think let's change the location. Let's see if inspiration strikes somewhere else, because it's definitely not striking for me at all here at the moment. Just driving along and saw this scene behind me. It's pretty spectacular. The light's quite dappled as well, which definitely adds to it. I think there's a quick shot here. Yeah. Onwards we go. So, since I last spoke to you, I visited a lake, I went to Hopfensee, walked around there for about 20-30 minutes, and inspiration 0. So as I'm struggling for creativity and I'm struggling for subjects, I thought, what better thing to do than let's go to a waterfall. The subject's obvious and let's see what I can find. Who knows whether it's any good, but this is a waterfall that's been on my to visit list for quite a long time, probably 2 or 3, 4 years, and I've never been this way with nothing else to do, so today's the day. Let's go and see what it's like. You've just seen the photo, but I tell you right now, in my head that was not worth all the effort, but sometimes don't know until you try. Of course that happened. Not a clue how that happens. So many waterfalls! So many waterfalls! Can't believe it! Sun! Where have you been all day? Never mind, you're here now. All is forgiven. So hopefully, I can't see anything being in this valley, but fingers crossed that means the clouds are clearing a little bit and sunset might be back on again. I won't count my lesson just yet, but there's definitely some blue sky around now. Sadly, there's absolutely no foreground whatsoever. Okay, so I'm just heading back down from the waterfall. I can safely say that was a really good idea. My lacking of creativity, inspiration, motivation, you name it, earlier today, I was really struggling, but having that obvious subject definitely helped. I'm not saying I came away with anything portfolio worthy or extraordinary, but hopefully you saw me probably in the video moving around, checking out a few different compositions, and I think 1 or 2 of them might be quite good. That site was really good. It's a really good waterfall, but there's no foliage around, so actually I don't think that's going to be any better at any other time of the year than it is now, unlike a lot of the waterfalls I've been to recently. I think that was a really good example of what I was talking about in my last video, about having a slightly different mindset and approach depending whether you're with other people or on your own. I've probably spent best parts of an hour trying different compositions, playing with different shutter speeds, and really playing with different shutter speeds all the way up to 30 seconds, so I'd be really interested to see how, if those come out. But of course I wouldn't have done that had I had other people with me. And so if you've not seen that video, I'll put a link just up in the top of the corner. Go and check that out after this video. But now, sunset, maybe. So I've just come out the valley and there's blue sky and mountains, so there's hope. Just driving past Attlesey again on the way back, and there's a light. Sadly still can't see the tops of the mountains, but the light is beautiful. It's lighting up all these dandelions, so definitely going to take a shot or 2 and see what they look like. But yeah, I had to stop, didn't I? I'm quite liking that in the middle. It's quite messy, so I'm not sure if I can get a nice angle on it. I'm going to try a long exposure and see what happens. So the sun's now set and I'm just waiting to see if any of the clouds catch fire, gain some colour. What a beautiful place to be though. I love that sound of just lapping waves. So we're seeing this cloud just here gain some nice orange light. So that's certainly made a very boring photograph a little bit more interesting, and we'll see if any of these would be nice if some of these towards the mountains did, but only time will tell. I think we've only got about 5-10 minutes till we know one way or the other. Fingers crossed, as always. It rarely happens, but when it does, it's amazing. Yeah, I don't think we're getting any more, sadly. Thought they might. These ones just here started to, but then didn't really light up too much, but it was nice for the little bit we got. But not what I hoped for, but never mind. You got to keep putting out, and one day, we'll get it.